Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We have a thought piece scheduled to drop this upcoming Sunday, so definitely be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Allô les meufs et les mecs. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis, and today's topic of discussion is mental health. And on the topic of mental health this week, I'm going to talk about different supports, different ways that you can help yourself if it is the case that you're managing through intrusive thoughts. So our first conversation this week was talking about intrusive thoughts and how to frame them so that we don't consider our thoughts as part of ourselves. We are not our thoughts, and sometimes it's very difficult to manage the amount of time that we spend with intrusive thoughts if we think that they're our own, if we claim them as our own. And so the next step to that, now that we recognize that we're not our thoughts, how do we keep those intrusive thoughts at bay? I want to talk a little bit about my management strategy, how I deal with and navigate around intrusive thoughts, and all of it comes with a certain sense of what it is that I want to put my energy towards. So I think when you're thinking about intrusive thoughts and how you want to manage your time around them, there's a certain baseline that you have to first establish about where you want your mental energy to go. So if you're focused on alignment, on being aligned to your higher self, on growth, on transformation, and on being in a positive state, if that's what you're looking for, then these tips are going to be great for you. If you're looking to pull yourself out of a rut of negative thinking and of critical thinking, then these tips are going to be very helpful to you. But you need to have those as baseline, like, desires for these tips to be of use, right? Because I think with intrusive thoughts, some people enjoy entertaining intrusive thoughts. I personally don't. I emphasize the intrusion on the intrusive thought in that they're unwelcome, and they're unwelcome because they're not in alignment with where I want to spend my time and energy and the things that I want to think about. And so because I have that very clearly framed, it's very easy for me to manage these intrusive thoughts with the tools I'm going to be sharing with you today. So the first thing that I counter these intrusive thoughts with are with my mandate, like what it is that I'm looking for myself, what it is that I'm hoping for myself, and the standard that I've held myself to. So my baseline for anything that I put my energy towards is that I want it to make me healthier, I want it to make me happier, and I want it to make me whole. So when I think about relationships that I entertain, when I think about opportunities that are headed my way, when I think about anything where it involves a certain degree of time commitment, it goes through those 3 initial filters. Is this going to make me happier? Is this going to make me healthier? Is it going to help me maintain or help me to become more whole, more of the being that I want to be? And so if these thoughts don't make it through these filters, I've given myself the first line of defense to nix the train of thought in that direction. And it's very easy to do if you have distractions. And distractions should be different elements or areas that you want to put your time and attention that enable you to feel healthier, to feel happier, and to feel whole. And this could be reading a book, this could be watching a TikTok, this could be doing anything and everything that distracts you from the intrusive thought that is just not welcome. But you need to have that baseline first, like where it is that you want to spend your energy based on who it is that you're looking to become, and actively build a repertoire of information and of things to attend to that align with where it is that you see yourself going and growing in this life and this lived human experience of ours. And so the next layer of defense, like maybe it could make me happier, maybe it could make me healthier, maybe it could make me whole, even if it does have a bit of a negative underlying tone to it. So if it doesn't quite fail the first line of defense, my second line of defense is this going to help me learn? Is this going to help me grow? Or is this going to help me to transform? And I think that this is very helpful because we entertain a lot of thoughts that do none of those things, right? And if you're focused on alignment involves evolution. There is no stagnation and there's no just steady state with alignment, because it's always about transforming, growing, learning, pushing yourself to be the best version of yourself, which is always going to be a level up from where you are right now. And so I like to entertain thoughts that help me to learn, to help me to grow, and to help me to transform. And believe it or not, a lot of those critical, negative thoughts don't do that, right? And sometimes, as I mentioned in my first video, hypercriticism was how I achieved and how I attained a lot of the successes that I had in my life. I mean, it was hypercriticism that was driving my decisions by way of, working full-time while going to school full-time. Hypercriticism was what really drove me to go to the very best of the best MBA schools. I wanted to make sure that all of the people who didn't believe in me not only saw me succeed, but saw me succeed in the best vein possible. And so I made a lot of sacrifices. I made a lot of big moves, big risks because of the hypercriticism. So I was able to channel it for growth and for transformation, but it also ended up being to my detriment because I didn't do it in the most healthy way. And so now that I'm recognizing that, hypercriticism can be helpful in some ways, but not when it comes to alignment and feeling happier, healthier, and whole. A lot of the times it makes you feel competitive. It makes you feel the need to self-sacrifice and to self-destruct in the ways that you attain and accomplish the things that you're looking for. So as I made that pivot, I decided to demote self-criticism and hypercriticism as a means of fueling myself forward. When I do have those critical thoughts that initially in previous versions of myself are very helpful in driving me forward and kind of thinking about all the different negative things that people were probably assuming and probably thinking about me, and then having that drive my desire to win, I decided that no, I'm going to nip that in the bud. I'm going to frame those thoughts or reframe those thoughts in a way where in tapping into them, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still transforming while maintaining that inner alignment. And I don't think we can have that sense of alignment if we're allowing toxic rhetoric to be what drives and fuels us forward. And some of us, we can do that, but it ends up being to our detriment. Like for me, it ended up being the reason why I was able to achieve certain things, but then at the cost of my health. It ended up being a source of stress that deteriorated my gut health, or a source of stress that made me need to be more cognizant about the things I eat, about my fitness regime. And all of this ended up being good things, but I got there by leveraging the wrong tools. So now that I have the right tools, it's really about maintenance and about recognizing, well, what courses of thought or what thoughts are helpful in helping me push towards the things that I want, and what thoughts are hurtful. I mean, they're going to help me push towards what I want, but it's going to be in a very destructive way, right? And destructive means it's not going to be in a way that keeps your mental, physical, emotional health in mind. It's going to keep your delta intact. And I think that it's really important as we think about this journey that is life, that we think about the trajectories that we can take towards the goals that mean a lot to us. The trajectories that are healthy for us, right? Not the trajectories that cut corners, not the trajectories that end up, cutting years off of our life or, destroying healthy relationships. We want to take the trajectories that require healthy sacrifices, not the unhealthy ones. And it's really important for us to be very clear on what that demarcation is. And it's going to be different for each of us, but for me, a healthy sacrifice is a sacrifice that doesn't infringe on my sense of happiness, my sense of health across mental, physical, and spiritual health, and my sense of feeling whole. I'm not breaking into myself. I'm not compromising on my integrity, on my value system, on my belief system in order to attain the things that I want. I'm happy to do things the longer way, the harder way, the more difficult way, if it still means that I'm maintaining that sense of wholeness, which I decided is really important for me. And so because of that, when I have an intrusive thought that breaches these barriers, it gives me all the more incentive to nix that thought in the bud. And again, you can nix it in the bud by engaging in entertaining information, stimuli in your environment, whether it's it's a book, whether it's TikToks, different things online, whether it's journaling, so on and so forth. And so another filter that I like to use, especially when the hypercriticism, it no longer is focused internally, but it's focused externally, is I want to make sure that the thoughts I entertain about the people, places, and situations around me are supportive. They are protective, like I'm protecting them and myself with the ways that I'm choosing to see and frame the situations around me, and they're empowering. So support, protect, empowering, no big surprise there, but I hold myself accountable to that standard, not just with the thoughts that I think about myself, but with the thoughts that I think about the people, places, and situations that I've deemed to be important enough to put my energy into. So I don't like to engage in critical, negative, fearful thoughts when it comes to the people, places, and situations that I've brought into my inner circle. And I think it's really important that we all recognize that if we choose to bring people into our inner circles, then we need to choose the way that we allow ourselves to consider, to frame, and to think about those individuals in a way that enables us to show up the way that we want to in those relationships. And a lot of the times, it can be the ways that we think and we approach different topics. If we allow ourselves to ruminate on negative cycles of thinking, that changes the way that we show up. And as a result of us being different in the way that we've shown up, it changes the way that they show up. And so the way that we think, the quality of thoughts that we entertain has a significant impact on how we navigate the environments around us. And oftentimes, that is the impact that goes under the radar. We don't recognize the changes in us caused by our thought life and our thinking life and our mental life. Instead, what we notice is the response and the reactions and the people around us. So I think that it's really important to be really good stewards of our thought life. And I think that the frames that I've given you, the different filters that I've given you that enable you to disqualify those intrusive thoughts and to decide, well, to what extent am I going to engage and entertain this thought? And of course, we have concerns that come up, but it's about how we frame them, right? And I think that it's important that we frame a concern from a place of power, from a place of recognize that we can address it, that we can deal with it in a healthy and adaptive way. And if we look at a concern and we allow it to build into this monster because of the framing that we have, because we're thinking about it from a really critical, whether that's self-critical, from a fearful perspective, or from a negative angle, we're not giving it the level of objectivity that it requires, then it's definitely going to impact our ability to be healthier, happier, and whole, and our ability to focus on thoughts and the ways that we frame our thoughts in ways that help us to learn, help us transform, and help us to grow. So hopefully that is food for thought for you, that gives you something to reflect on and something to build towards, because these are mental models that you can create. You can decide, well, how do I consider alignment? And if this is my sense of alignment, what thoughts do I want and what thoughts am I going to reject? And if I think about the thoughts that I want to reject, what filters of questions am I going to ask myself when this comes up, to give myself the sense as to how do I navigate around this? Like, do I distract myself from this thought? Do I pull my attention elsewhere? We have that choice because we are not our thoughts. Our thoughts are simply different parts of the environments that we've interacted with, or different things that we've experienced that come up and ask us if we want to entertain that stimuli in our mental mind's eye at this point in time. And so we can say no, like we don't have to engage with and entertain every intrusive thought that comes in. And if those thoughts are not in alignment with the growth that we want, with the life that we want, with the quality of relationships that we're looking for, then we need to really be very careful and be very mindful and create these strategies that empower us to take the reins and to be the ones that govern, like the thoughts that we entertain and the thoughts that we don't. In any case, that was it, but definitely not all. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future, on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above those events. So check it out. Be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.